Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. The Tennessee Titans officially added 10 new coaches, retained 11 others as head coach. Bryan Callahan builds his first coaching staff. Those joining the staffs have decades of NFL experience. The new assistant coaches on offense, a few of them, Bill Callahan for the offensive line, Tyke Tolbert as wide receivers coach. On the defensive side, Steve Jackson for secondary and safeties, and Tracy Rocker returning to the Titans after coaching from 2011 and 13, was also the Vols defensive line coach from 17 to 19. And the date to franchise tag players creeps closer as Paul Denner reported. He believes the Bengals will be tagging T. Higgins. The wide receiver tag is projected to be a hair over $20 million guaranteed. And in college basketball, Vanderbilt wins at the buzzer against Texas A&M.
There's Ramon. He's done a nice job getting to the basket. See if he can get there here. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4. Manyan to the free throw line, up and under, lost it, throws it up. Got it! Got it! That is your game!
For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning edition of RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Robert Walsh makes the show happen on a Valentine's Day morning in Music City, USA. We've got Dane Bradshaw talking SEC hoops at 7:20. Your chance to complain about whatever's going on in your week at 8:20 this morning. Rhett, Bryan at Titans Radio at 9. And a little bit of midweek motivation, courtesy of our very good friend, Inky Johnson. 615-737-1045. We give you everything you need to know about new Tennessee Titans staff hires. 10 of them happening yesterday. Good morning, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Happy Valentine's Day, good people.
It is
Lover's
the 14th,
Day.
isn't it?
It is the 14th. We're there,
That's how it
man.
works.
Man, already almost mid-February. Yeah, hopefully y'all have your plans tonight. Maybe you're doing an in-house dinner or reservations and kind of going out there with the crowds. But whatever it is, hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day.
Yeah, same here.
My plans were last night.
Yeah, or that. And that works.
Which was
and
great.
Ramon, you're doing a Friday night.
Yeah,
so.
we're doing a Friday night. I was real proud of the fellas yesterday. I stopped into your local neighborhood grocery store yesterday, Kroger, and just realized a ton of balloons in there, ton of flowers, and there was a ton of guys in there. And they were picking out some good stuff. I gotta be real with them. I was like, okay, that's nice right there. Oh, okay, I see you. That's what I was just saying in my head to the people that were passing by. I was real proud of the fellas yesterday, man. We getting ahead of it either because it was yesterday and they was making it for today or whatever the case may have been. But I was proud of the fellas yesterday who I saw in the grocery store just buying it up. And the flowers looked fresh. The balloons were filled up, and a few dudes had some chocolates in their hand. I was like,
Look at that.
ain't asking for too much.
It is funny, though, because a lot of them. So I went in the grocery store last year. I was just getting some stuff for groceries. And I didn't even realize why there were so many, like, men in there single, like, grabbing flowers. And it was, like, kind of crazy how many dudes were just spread out trying to look for things for their, significant other. And then I put it together. Oh, yeah, it is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We've got a few hours, so I could see why the grocery store is packed here with random dudes.
I'm telling you, it was real cool to see yesterday. I was like, see, we aren't as last minute as people make us out to be. I'm here for that type
Speak
of
for
stuff.
yourself.
Some of us.
Not really myself. Speak for your generation. Because we're very slightly in different generations.
Really? Well, to that point, though, I did get my mother-in-law stuff about 3-4 days ago, and my grandmother's stuff on the
Nice.
same day. So, and I got a discount, credit card discount on them. I spent money, got money back. I was like, cha-ching, let's
Look
go.
at that.
So, yeah.
So I don't like doing the cliche like, what's your favorite love song like today? Because
Yeah.
I'm more interested in what was the worst first date you've ever been on in honor of Valentine's Day. Unless it was with the person you're currently with, then just plead the fifth, and we'll all just know.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't really go on many.
Or just the worst date you've been on. We can make it a little bit easier.
Mine, all right, I'll kick this one off. Y'all ready for this one?
Of course. That's what I asked.
Mine was in the early ages of Facebook.
Oh no.
I moved off campus in 05.
There was a time before Facebook?
MySpace.
No, this fight me after this. So this is a lover's day, but we're fighting on the balcony later, okay? Early phases of Facebook, and Facebook was primarily all campus. You had to have an EDU email, okay?
Yeah,
so it was
did.
interconnected through campuses. And somehow I ventured out and found a friend in Greensburg, South Carolina. Regionally, it might have gone to South Carolina. And this female, man, let me tell you this. I clicked the picture, befriended, we're cool. The picture was attractive, okay? And lo and behold, the picture was totally different from the person I saw in person. It was her,
Was it still a girl?
Oh.
but she was probably respectfully
Okay.
75 pounds to 100 pounds heavier in person.
You didn't even have filters back then on cameras.
It was an angle, and I told Keisha the story. It was an angle, man. Okay, just I got catfished into a situation I was not ready for, and I think I'm a nice guy, so I went through with just trying to be nice and everything. Provided a bed and breakfast and everything hey, not all of that, but you had housing, because she drove from South Carolina, and I was I provided housing and pizza, and this girl ate a whole pizza. Okay.
Oh,
I'm not even
damn.
bull crapping y'all, man. Ate a whole pizza, okay? And then after this,
I was gonna say, how'd you get out of it?
no, I went to bed in the living room,
Through the
okay?
hole she left.
Hey,
Oh,
I
dang.
ate a whole pizza, and this is when Domino's, I think, had the 555, and you get a whole medium. To be fair, it was a medium, okay? But after that, a commercial comes on from this breakfast spot, IHOP, and they have funnel cake pancakes. She was just oh, I love to have one of those. And I'm like, come on, man. I myself am on the Husky side, but we not doing this. A whole pizza, and you want to go to IHOP because of a commercial? That was by far one of the
And were you
worst.
spending all the money on it?
I try to. Y'all know I'm a giver.
I know,
okay?
but damn, you're in college.
But hear me out, okay? Somehow I had a little bit extra that weekend, and when I tell you the most uncomfortable sleep I've ever had in my life, and then the very next morning I was just man, you know what? It'd probably be best if you just go
A whole
bed
pizza.
I can't believe you let her stay.
Oh my gosh.
It was Kayla. It wasn't a pizza that got me. One, I got catfish because the picture was just don't laugh that hard, Kayla. It was the angles of the face did not match the entirety of everything else.
I see how that happens.
You
yes.
know how that can
Yeah.
happen, okay? But it was the funnel cake, the need for the funnel cake pancakes that got me afterwards.
So how did Lene then end up meeting Manti Te'o?
Hey.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh,
So you
I-
met Lene Kakua before Manti
Pretty
Te'o
much.
did.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
good thing you got out of that one.
I'm less than 24 hours. Less than 24 hours. It might have been a 12-hour visit.
I wonder if she's
legit.
married now.
Somebody got a hefty bill.
Oh my God.
Especially on
so
Valentine's Day.
Hey, dog, I had never in my life, I don't even remember the name or nothing. You want to talk about a blur. That was terrible right there. That's what I get for cyber dating.
Mine was just I went on a coffee date with this girl thinking it was a date, and then 2/3 of the way through realized she had a boyfriend. So that was mine. So it really wasn't a worst first date at all because it just wasn't a date.
She wasn't yours.
I thought it was, and she did not think it was.
Then how did y'all come? How did it come together? What were you thinking that she wasn't?
That she didn't have a boyfriend.
So, but did she think was she trying to date you?
No.
But she knew. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
It was just a friend thing.
Yes. Which was way better in the long run, for sure.
Yeah.
But still, it's not a great story, but that's pretty much it.
That was my worst one, I think. One of my worst ones. I've had other ones too that's borderline fishy. But I'll never forget that one. That was like 05, 06. We were staying at Grand Forest Apartments.
Yep.
And what was so crazy.
You're right where that is.
Mayo lived across the street. It was Mayo and a few other guys in the building. It was me, Sinclair, and Inky staying together. And she went over to the other side because, you got to cross over the road to come over to the other building. We were in the 4 building. And I saw her get out of the car, and Ink was like, "Big homie!" I was like, "Shut up, Ink." He saw her. He saw her from a distance. And I was like, "You gotta be lying."
Said big homie to her.
Yeah.
He thought you were showing a new recruit around. He's like, man, we need her on the O-line.
Yeah, right?
Hey, can you hop in a pass block set real quick? Let me see. Well, where's the hand
Lord.
placement?
So we stayed
Oh
at the
my
top
gosh.
level of the condos of the apartments. Grand Forest is tall, Will.
Yeah, right.
And
She
she
was
got
huffing and going up them
She got
stairs.
tired walking up the steps, man. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing?
That's great.
Just keep thinking about that meat lover.
Exactly.
And it was. It was
Okay,
the
I
meat
thought of
lovers.
one, but I know we don't have time right now, so I'll have to share mine.
We'll get to it later in the show.
Yeah,
She
'cause
was
it's pretty
tired
funny.
walking up the steps, man.
615-737-1045. Coming up this morning, Dane Bradshaw of SEC Network at 7:20. You're not that guy at 8:20, or you're not that girl at this point on Valentine's
Is that
Day.
gonna
Worst
be
dates
yours?
edition.
We're just bringing the love this
Sure.
morning. Rhett, Bryan at Titans Radio at 9 o'clock. A new Titans staff is almost totally complete. We'll give you the headlines coming up next.
Fellas, Valentine's Day is here, man. So are you looking for the most thoughtful, most romantic gift for the one you love this Valentine's Day? 2 words for y'all today. Genesis Diamonds. Maybe it's a simple pendant or an exquisite one-of-a-kind designer ring. Genesis can help you pick out the most memorable and special piece of jewelry for the occasion. And to make it even sweeter, now until today, all right, even today, whether you spend $199 or $199,000, Genesis will give you some chocolates, fresh flowers, and a dinner out at no charge. This is a great deal. It's a one-stop shop for the ultimate Valentine's Day experience. So when you buy any piece of beautiful jewelry, they will give you some beautiful flowers from Jenny's Florist, some yummy chocolates, and a gift card for dinner at STK Steakhouse. So stop wasting time. Get to Genesis. They've got a spectacular collection of memorable, romantic gifts from $199 to $199,000. And right now, they're going to throw in some chocolates, flowers, and a dinner out at no extra charge. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose, 1045 The Zone, 615-737-1045. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV. You can join the F&M Bank chat there. It is open for business on a Wednesday morning. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch,
Please. That's right. Titans had 10 new coaches, retain 11 others yesterday as head coach Bryan Callahan builds his first coaching staff. The staff is not complete, but there are some headlines within this, including those who are being retained. That's Chris Harris and Justin Alton, the two specifically, who are being retained on the full-time on-field staff. So Chris Harris, passing game coordinator and corners, Justin Alton, tight ends, and then you have a number of assistant position group coaches, of which include Luke Stocker, offensive assistant, VFL, shout out.
I was glad to see that.
Absolutely. Lori Locust on here as well for assistant defensive line and pass rush specialist. And then the strength and conditioning staff, assistants who are retained, including Brian Bell, Tyler Rouse, and Haley Roberts. Frank Pirano was not retained, the director of sport performance for the Titans. Fancy word for strength coach, and we will get to details on that and specifically where he is heading later on in the show. But as you guys look at who was retained and the 10 new coaches who were hired, what stands out the most?
There had to be some carryover.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing with it is, especially these quality control and assistant coaches and stuff like that. I thought that was very unique. I'm glad to see Anthony Levine be retained also as a player on special teams. A monster. He was really, really good as far as special teams go. And of course, being able to see Tracy Rocker on this staff, I think is a huge addition. And of course, Luke Stocker being around too. Knowing Luke is and Anthony also is big time.
Yeah, the first thing that stood out to me, and it's good to start to see this really come together because we've had so many, reports. We haven't been able to make anything really official, but now you're seeing many of these assistants and coordinators made official yesterday. So my biggest one also, just love seeing the Tracy Rocker hire for the fact that they were losing a really solid veteran coach in Coach Terrell Williams, who obviously goes up to the Detroit Lions. So seeing Tracy Rocker, who has such an incredible resume, clearly has been here before, went to school at Auburn, was an incredible player at Auburn, had some time coaching with the Vols. He's been all over the place. And then with the Eagles, I think that when you bring in somebody like that, it's going to be a good match for Jeffrey Simmons and crew. I think that's a good personality, good, veteran presence type of mix. Because, again, it's hard replacing a guy like Terrell Williams. He's very well thought of. So I think that was an incredible ad right there, guys. I mentioned it before, Chris Harris. I know that they didn't get maybe the results last year in the secondary. I think there's a lot to that too. But I do know that the guys absolutely loved Chris Harris, liked the way that he got communication across, like just the teaching ability that he had. So it's not a surprise to see him maintained there too. So that was a good ad. And then I talk about Lori Locust all the time, and I know she's not like a staple position, but I do think she brings something different to the staff and different way of getting things across, different way of maybe communicating things that she sees that might be different. And she's got tons of experience too, if you look at her resume, including a ring in Tampa Bay.
A ring in Tampa.
Tracy Rocker first entered the NFL as a defensive line coach with the Titans from 2011 to 2013. That included a season where Derek Morgan had 59 tackles, 23 quarterback hits, and 6.5 sacks. Had a young group of linemen in 2011, including Titans legend Carl Klug. It's a shout out from the past right there. Former Iowa Hawkeye, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And you had a young Jarrell Casey, who was in that group as well. I was around Tracy when we were at Tennessee, and I won't obviously say that I know the guy. I just put a phone in his face every now and then and interviewed him. But he was always really nice and good to work with. And I think in him, though, you are getting a very different style of coach. You're getting more of a traditional college teacher in Tracy Rocker. And for a team that is about to be a lot younger, specifically on defense, and probably have a lot of new faces and build through the draft, having a more college career-centered coach is not the worst thing. He's got a 24-year collegiate coaching career, and most recently was in Philadelphia. And I believe the tie to Denard Wilson is particularly important there, the Titans defensive coordinator. But to me, when I was around Tracy Rocker, he reminded me of like another Rodney Garner type. He's old school, born and raised SEC. He also played at Auburn, as did Rodney Garner, and is native to Auburn High School, where he was a defensive coordinator in the early 90s. So that's another guy who has high school coaching experience, 24 years of college coaching experience, and was just with Philadelphia and has NFL coaching experience as well. So that's the first name that I gravitated to as well. A, just because I've been around him, and B, because it is a different profile from what the Titans have hired in the past when it comes to assistants.
It is. I told you guys I heard just some stuff around the coaching hires and how big of a staff this would be. Like, as far as the names, like, every coach on here has something they're bringing that's super unique. And again, to reiterate again on the Tracy Rocker side of it, that was one of those questions I had for Chad Brinker and Rams, just, hiring an offensive coach. What does that mean for the defense? And if you look at Denard Wilson, the staff that he's kind of brought in here, and how they've kind of somewhat formulated a bunch of high integrity, high respect guys, long tenured dudes at positions, especially. Tracy Rocker does D-line. Frank Bush is a linebacker coach. We're talking about guys that are very specific in their roles and how you expect this defense to take the next steps and next phases. And of course, for me, to your point, Will, about how young this group is about to be, and you might have to have some tricks up your sleeve to get a lot out of some guys that don't have a whole lot of talent, either because you can't draft them the way you want to right now, or the fact that you might have to get some young guys out of free agency, whatever the case may be. But you look at the dudes that Tracy Rocker's had over the last 2 to 3 years in Philly. Now, I know what you're saying. Of course, those dudes are high pedigree. Jordan Davis, I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? That at least tells you if you decide to go for a big boy in the draft or a young fella, he can develop him. I mean, also looking at Jalen Carter's situation, but not just him, the veterans, knowing how to communicate and deal with them. Fletcher Cox being one of those dudes that you have to deal with. Josh Sweat being one of those dudes. Like, think about the guys that he's had to coach in that Philadelphia defense. And also his connection to Denard Wilson being on that same staff. Again, I've always somewhat said, we talked about this earlier when Denard Wilson was there. When he got hired, or speculated he was about to get hired, he worked with Tracy Rock, and I was like, boy, that'd be awesome to have him on this staff too. And you get that. I'll say this: if you are a player that wants to play a certain style of defense, I think you're going to get it here in Nashville. As much as I was hype about Brian Callahan bringing Bill Callahan, can you imagine what practice is going to be like with Tracy Rocker and Bill Callahan and one-on-ones?
It's going to be awesome.
Y'all know what last year went to the Senior Bowl and that group around the O-line, D-line? Like, can you imagine the demand? And not just before we get to the demand of like what they have to do in practice. Walking into those rooms now with Tracy Rocker and Bill Callahan, the respect factor now is through the roof. And the same thing was for Coach Terrell Williams. I'm not going to minimize that. But now in a new regime where there were some questions and uncertainty about what direction are we going as a team, you got to know, at least on both sides of the trenches, there will be a high regard to respect and expectations moving forward. And if guys want to be developed, you can. If somebody doesn't pan out here, I don't know if we can necessarily point the finger directly at the coach no more, because these dudes have long tenures to where they've proven to make players better.
My biggest takeaway from how the staff looks, and there's still some roles to be filled, including, which I think is extremely important, special teams coordinator. That is extremely important. This is a position that has not been good for a minute. And that we continue to say year after year, well, what's the issue on special teams? Well, why can't special teams get cleaned up? Why are there muffin punts? So that will be a really important hire, and I'm sure that will be made fairly soon. But when I look at the staff, the biggest question we had, one of the biggest questions was, how is he going to mix like the experience with maybe, some people that he trusts and knows over the years, some of the younger up and coming coaches. And I really think that it's laying out nicely when you start to look at the mixture. And I think a great point made by you, Ramon, the trenches, it's where everything starts.
Yeah.
And to have two coaches like Bill Callahan, like Tracy Rocker, that are going to be manning those positions, I think is extremely important because they do bring the veteran presence. They bring years of experience. They have credibility. They're known, right? Not just where they were before, but all over the league. So I think it's really important that those are home run hires, in my opinion. And then when you look at all the assistants that he's bringing in on the staff, they're not just directly his buddies, right? I mean, you're getting guys from all walks of life, gals from all walks of life that really specialize in that position. And we are seeing coaches who look at their resume, look at the players that they've had, develop players.
Yep.
And that's going to be huge on a team that is going to be pretty much new. There's going to be a lot of new faces here. Like you said, Ramon, a lot of young faces. So I think right now, and it's yet to be seen, I think it's a good mixture, guys, of veteran presence and, newer people and younger guys. So
The only thing I would push back on is the fact that he still does have a lot of guys that he's been with in the past. I believe in Miami there was overlap with Frank Bush there, the linebackers coach. There's overlap in Cincinnati with Steve Jackson, who's going to be in the secondary, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, secondary and cornerbacks coach in 2020, 2021. But, I mean, honestly, that's the NFL, right? Like, you're going to have 30 to 40% of your staff be people you've worked with in the past who you've become friends with over time, not even including your offensive coordinator who you went to high school with, Nick Holtz.
Yeah, but all in all, I personally, my opinion, am giving this staff an A. Just off face value, just off of these guys' tenure. You got some old, you got some young. You have some guys that are out to prove themselves, and you also got Coach Bryan Callahan protecting himself by, of course, having Coach Holtz be his facilitator offensively. And, of course, as young as Coach Denard Wilson is, right, as far as his first time being in this position, or to be the signal caller for the defense, he's got some experience around him that's going to, I would hope, give him the ability to be overly successful. I've heard nothing but great thing about Steven Jackson, who also Coach Mack knows.
Of course he does.
Yes, of course he does.
He knows Frank, everybody on this.
He knows the linebackers coach, Frank Bush, very well, too. And he's one of those guys around the league, too, that if you ask about him, everybody knows about him, too. Again, having Coach Mack on and even Rhett to speak about some of these dudes that's had some tenures around the league and are known to be specialties at their positions, I think is really, really big time. I don't know what the budget was for this staff, but you can't get a staff like this either because, if you don't have the connections or you don't have the optimism that you're going to be able to make this thing work. I'd love to know how somebody's going to try to knock this. As far as the group that's been put together so far, they got a good group of quality control guys, and it's a well put together staff.
Real quick, we're going to talk to Nick Holtz, Denard Wilson, and Coach Bryan Callahan today. So that'll be really good to get their kind of perspective firsthand today for the first time.
Bush, by the way, correcting myself, was not one who had experience in the past with Callahan, but it was Jackson was the one specifically.
Right.
But I think just too having a defensive coordinator in Denard Wilson who is going to be as young as he is, yet still brings the experience on his staff in a Tracy Rocker who he spent time with in Philadelphia. I think our concerns about this staff not being old enough can be put to rest a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Going through the entire resume here on guys who were made official yesterday, you've got Tom Jones, which is, I think, an interesting hire, an assistant to the head coach. A bit of a step down for him, specifically when you talk about a guy who was vice president of football operations and assistant to the head coach in Vegas. and has worked in the Raiders organization for 25 years. But as long as he has spent in the Raiders organization, that's who I was thinking of the other coach on this list who has worked with Brian Callahan and Bill Callahan previously. I do think, though, someone who's been in the league as long as 25 years is noteworthy for a first-time head coach to be that assistant to the head coach, game management advisor kind of role. So I'm interested to learn more about what specifically Tom Jones will do on this staff. Randy Jordan, the other veteran coach who joins the staff, running backs coach who has spent the last 10 seasons with the Washington Commanders and joined the Commanders as running backs coach in 2014, adding the title of senior offensive assistant in 2023. You add a title like that to somebody, it means that they have the possibility to go elsewhere and you want them to stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that he also stood the test of time on a lot of different staffs from 2014 all the way to 2023 in Washington. Another guy who has college coaching experience at the Power 5 level, spending 4 seasons with Texas A&M and running backs coach at the University of Nebraska, where he started at 2004. And again, anyone at Nebraska around that time, there's the Bill Callahan connection.
Yep.
It is. It is interconnecting. You do have to have some of that when it comes down to pulling people from staffs and getting them to believe in what you're going to be as a team moving forward. Because here's the thing, and I said this when it happened, and not to have no credit or nothing behind it, but where this team ended the season and what was in front of them, I thought was probably one of the best places you can be as a franchise. I know it sucks to lose. It sucks to fire people, but you get an opportunity now to have a clean slate into building this thing up properly. And that's all we've all heard this entire offseason, from the firing to moving forward, and how progressively football-centric it's going to be with some of the outside, contributions of whether that's AI, whether that's sports science, and just communication and collaboration side of it, man. That is, listen, if you're a Titans fan and you see this staff and you know ball, if you know ball, and you've been asking about development and coaching and retaining talent, I don't know if there's many other better staffs. And as far as like teams that are pushing their way to the forefront, I know what Houston did this year is super unique, but I'd almost put this up against anybody if you draft well, if you have the ability to continue to develop, and if guys hold up their end of it too. At the end of the day, you have to win games. It is apparent that this franchise have to win games and break that stigma of, oh, you're just the Titans. And I think that's where that puts you right now. This is a serious staff. If I was a player on this team, like my concentration into being better switches now. And I've had that happen before when Munch walked in the room with us. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not trying to blow air up anybody, but I'm telling you, there's a difference when you know you have the ability to be coached up by people like this.
One more note really quick. I think it's important, too, is because I know Brian Callahan did not play in the league, right? A lot of these guys on the staff, if you really look at where they've been, a lot of them played. A lot of them played for a while. So that's, I think, important to note. You have that connection, too.
615-737-1045 is our number. We asked you earlier this morning, what is the worst first date you have been on in honor of Valentine's Day? One submission on Twitter says, I went to light the candle on our dinner table and set the sleeve of my dress on fire. Blew on it and sent the hot wax from the candle onto my date. We didn't speak after that.
Some people would enjoy that.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
What's wrong with you, bro?
615-737-1045. More of your phone calls and a PFF mock draft that has a Titans tackle being selected, but not the one you'd expect. Next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. I'm here to tell you guys that January bill probably just came in the mail a few days ago. You probably saw it's probably sky high because January was cold. And that's because air was probably seeping through your windows. I know y'all are trying to renovate and try to change up your house and switch it up a little bit here and there, but I'm here to tell you, start with your windows because that bill can go down immediately, okay? And go to your windows, and I told you this before, touch them. If they're cold, you probably need new windows, all right? I know you want to fix that roof, probably get some new floors or something like that, but starting with your windows will probably be one of the biggest returns you can ever get from Window Nation, Kayla.
That is right. And we still have time in terms of getting another storm possibly. So take the advantage of, a little bit warmer temperatures this week. And like Ramon said, go check out your window. Make sure it's opening properly. Make sure there's no leaks or anything. If so, you might want to look into getting new windows from our friends at Window Nation. And they are the company to work with. Professional installation teams. They have over 10 years of experience. And this is big, too, because if you want to wait until the warm months here in Tennessee, you don't have to. They can actually install your new windows in less than 1 day. So do it now or pick a week. It's going to be a little bit warmer here over the next couple of months. Also, to note, Window Nation's windows, they come with a lifetime warranty. That's right. So if anything is wrong with your windows at any point after the installation, they've got a warranty on them. So go check out our friends from Window Nation. It is easy. Just simply call them 866-90Nation or log online to windownation.com.
Wednesday morning at RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045, the number. Ramon Foster, who sings the song?
Alan Jackson.
He told him.
Why I can't know this? Huh?
Robert Walsh.
Why can't I know this?
Please educate Ramon
I've
Foster
been
what we're
through
listening
this.
to.
This is Alan Jackson.
It is.
Thank you. I told you, like, I have some Alan
Look at
Jackson
you.
in my iTunes library. What are we talking
Do you
about
have-
here? I know the voice.
Do
Don't
you
ask
have
me.
his Down by the River on the Chattahoochee?
We
Down by
can't
the
be
river on the
singing
hat.
a different song while this song is on. Let
I
this
do.
song
I have
have
that.
its
I
shine.
love that
You never
song.
know what's in my library. Okay.
the heck?
I'm
Well,
just
in
letting y'all
the
know.
past, it hasn't necessarily.
Oh, because it's country, I can't be right on it. Okay, all right.
That is what you've proven on this
Well,
show.
in the
We gonna
past.
find Kiss Me Through the Phone by Soulja Boy next, okay?
Oh, my-
How about
We will
that?
not be
I know
calling
that.
678-999-8212.
That's it, Will, but,
goodness.
go off, Will.
Corey in Hendersonville next up. 615-737-1045. Talking about bad dates this morning. What's up, Corey?
Not much. And before I get on this subject, Ramon, I just want to tell you I'd miss whenever you and J-Mart used to do the birthdays segment years ago.
Yeah, man. I was right more times than I was wrong, correct?
Often duplicated, never replicated celebrity birthdays.
No doubt, man. I appreciate
But,
you sticking with us.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, but it was the worst 11 months of my life that I can't get back. Back in 2019, I dated a girl, and on Valentine's Day, she broke the news to me that she was pregnant. And then fast forward to the time that it was, time for her to have the baby, and she breaks the news to me that she was lying about the pregnancy for 5 straight months, and that she had lost the baby 4 months into the pregnancy.
Oh,
Whoa, Corey.
My goodness.
that's
There's
heavy.
a lot of red flags.
Wow. Okay.
Hold up. Was she actually pregnant?
That I don't actually know if I can believe or not.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, my goodness.
There was a lot of, like I said, red flags. There were times that I tried to go with her to ultrasounds, and then there were excuses that were made up at the last second. Oh, I had to change the appointment, things like that. Like I said, a lot of red flags started adding up afterwards.
Hey, Corey, we can go
Well,
find
Corey,
her.
we hope you have a better Valentine's Day today than that one.
I was going to help
Oh,
Corey
I have
out.
a much better woman now.
That's
There you go.
fantastic.
Hey,
So
All's
that
well that
worked
ends
out.
well.
Corey!
God bless the broken road that led Corey straight to whatever he has today.
You know what that reminded me of, like those shows back in the day, like Phil Donahue and all that, like where they'd go on and be like, "You said that you were pregnant. I was pregnant." Like when they go back and forth, like that's what it reminded me of. Like she was possibly putting an act on there.
Man, you shouldn't be putting a baby off
That's
on
crazy.
somebody and using them. Corey, man, we can jump her if you want to.
Yeah, he's got a
Easy.
new
He got a
woman in
new
his
one. He got a new
Easy.
woman now. Okay, all right. Not physically. We can talk bad too.
There you go.
Okay.
Mark in the borough talking Titan staff. 615-737-1045. Hey, Mark.
Hey, before that, I didn't catch the question at first until late. But I do have a bad story. So, catch this. Back in 2009, I'm 34 now, so I was about maybe, I don't know, I'm not good with math, probably 20 at the time. But so I was in the shower. My brother's birthday is this day, and I had a girlfriend at the time. I'm in the shower, and I'm getting ready for my brother's birthday party, and my girlfriend at the time, she was just like, "Hey, I don't want you to go," and I was like, "Hey, I don't care what you say. This is my brother's birthday. I'm going." So we got into a big argument. Before I got out of the shower, I was thinking I'm going to break up with her because this is my brother's birthday, and she's tripping. I'm breaking up with her, and I said, "Hey, when I get out of the shower, I got to talk to you." She comes in, and she said, "What do you want to talk about? Say it now." I said, "All right, well, I want to break up." She said, "All right." She goes back in the living room, comes back in the bathroom, and sets the pregnancy test right on the counter.
Oh.
And I get out of the shower and see the freaking pregnancy test, and it has the 2 lines that says pregnant. And I'm like, "Oh, my God." And then So I go to the living room. She's crying. I got the towel wrapped around me, and I just drop to my knees and I just hold her hands. And I never went. And we've been married for 16 years.
Oh my God! Wow.
You had me in the first half. I ain't gonna lie, Mark.
And to think it was going to be over a brother's birthday, and then it turned into a marriage. Wow.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
And that was my first kid, and he's a little actor now, and that's my 13-year-old.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
That's great.
Well, do you still go party with your brother?
Not at all. He ain't even married.
Gotta say happy birthday to your brother, by the way.
I thought we was gonna end this thing by saying bros over, but never mind now. Hey, we got a whole boo thing now.
Hey, that's what it was at first. It was straight up like that. But nah, after that baby came, everything changed. So, I would advise to all people, if you're thinking about getting married, go ahead. If you're on the fence about it, don't do it at all, because it's hard work.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you win the hour now.
Well, yeah, I won't even go into the coaching staff. All I'll just say is I think it's an A+, and I'll hang up.
Thank you, Mark.
Awesome, Mark.
Appreciate the call.
I was going to say, are we having a theme here with babies, pretending they're pregnant? Like, what? I thought that was going in that direction again.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know if my nerves can take it back here because I'm so worried somebody's going to drop a bad word or say something. I try to preface everybody before they come on, but he snuck past me. He was like, nah, I want to talk about the staff. And then he gets in. Well, I didn't hear the prompt.
That's on me. I asked the question again, and we went to the caller before, and we went to Corey while he was on the line.
I was like, man, I ain't vetted this one. I don't know what. He was like, I was in the shower, right? Listen,
His tone was chill. His tone was chill. So I was like, all right, we good.
He was playing it cool.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Meanwhile, I'm back here sweating bullets. Boy.
I know.
So
he dropped that baby.
Talk about letting naysayers know.
Letting the naysayer know.
615
stories there.
737-1045. More.
My heart rate is up for real.
Headlines coming up in hour 2, where we will get to PFF's mock draft that has the Titans taking the tackle you will not expect, plus the Titans coach who was not retained yesterday on deck.
All right, I have a question for y'all out there. When's the last time that you went and got your eyes checked out? We go to the doctor, we go to the dentist. Those are almost yearly, if not twice a year type of situations where we're getting in appointments. But we sometimes don't pay attention to our eye health. I went in a couple months ago. It had been since high school. I'm not joking, that I had actually got my eyes checked out at Wang Vision Institute. They do an incredible job at that, from the front desk all the way to the doctors. They take you through everything when it comes to your eye health, and even get you prepared for down the road and maybe what you might be dealing with and how to prevent that. So everything eyes at Wang Vision Institute. Also doing a lot with skincare, intense pulse light treatments. If you've never done them, they're actually super simple, super quick. It's a photofacial treatment that actually rejuvenates the skin. Maybe you've had that sun damage. You're seeing dark spots appear as you get older. These treatments are awesome. They'll even out your skin tone, your texture, and even if you're dealing with hyperpigmentation, they help cure that as well. So for more information on these IPL treatments, along with other services, go ahead and visit the wangvisioninstitute.com today. Also, going back to the eye care health, if you are interested in that, they have free online vision seminars. That's every Tuesday at 6:45. You can RSVP, schedule a free consultation, and your treatment today. Just go to wangvisioninstitute.com.
What's going on? 7:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Tennessee Titans officially added 10 new coaches, retaining 11 others as head coach Bryan Callahan begins to build his first coaching staff. Those joining the staff have decades of experience. Some of the new assistant coaches on the staff: Bill Callahan, his father of the offensive line; Tyke Tolbert, a career wide receiver coach. On the defensive side, Frank Bush for linebackers, Steve Jackson for the secondary, and Tracy Rocker, who's the D-line coach and also previously coached in Tennessee from 2011 to 2013, was also the Vols defensive line coach from 17 to 19. The date to franchise tag players creeps closer, and Paul Dinner believes the Bengals will be tagging T. Higgins. The wide receiver tag is projected to be a hair over $20 million guaranteed. And in college basketball, Vandy wins at the buzzer against Texas A&M 74-73.
Ezra Magnon, he's done a nice job getting to the basket. See if he can get there here. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4. Magnon to the free throw line, up and under, lost it, throws it up. Got it! Got it! That is your game!
For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 starts right now at RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Ramon, Kayla, and Will with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. Joining us in 15 minutes, SEC Network analyst Dane Bradshaw will join us, previewing another Tennessee basketball game tonight in Arkansas, and headlines around the SEC, where there are some battles coming up this weekend and tonight. South Carolina and Auburn, a major matchup tonight down on the Plains. Going to be a good one to preview with SEC Network's Dane Bradshaw coming up in 15 minutes. Rhett, Bryan at 9 o'clock. Your phone calls throughout the morning at 615-737-1045. Even about your worst first dates. Mm-hmm. Love is in the air, but not on this show, dang it.
Well, we got love in the air.
Yeah, we got a little bit at the end of that story.
Got a little
bit
bit
of love in a hopeless place.
You did?
I did. I was in college. Was that not a hopeless place for love for the rest of y'all?
No, I found love in a hopeless place.
I didn't
do it. I got
find
it
anything
in college. I did in college.
Except for
some
hanging
loose
out.
change. Yeah, that's it.
Wait, where did you meet Cheyenne?
Loose change.
We actually went to the same high school and then went to the same college. I will have to tell you how we met off air. I don't know if that's appropriate
really?
for yeah. Cheyenne is a little
promiscuous?
A promiscuous little gal.
What? I'd have never used that term ever. Oh my God!
Did Nelly have a song called "Promiscuous"?
No.
Promiscuous girl.
For Nelly Furtado. You got to say which one you're talking about.
Oh, it's not the same one.
Nelly Furtado is different.
Furtado.
She's the female. Nelly's the guy.
I know, but Nelly.
I never knew
you
that.
didn't?
No.
Oh my God!
Even I knew that.
You're not the same Nelly.
No.
No.
We going from Air Force Ones to shake your tail feather. I mean, what we talking about here?
I just assumed it was that Nelly.
No, it's
Why
not.
wouldn't she
that
pick
Nelly.
another name? There's already a big
She
Nelly.
was out before Nelly, I think.
You sure?
I think she might have been.
No, I think Nelly might have been there.
I'll take my musical L's when they come, but
Well, you know the Commodores and all that type of jazz, but we don't know
So
which Nelly's
Nelly
is Nelly.
Furtado is 45. By the way, pretty girl. And Nelly, let's see here. Nelly's an old man.
Nelly's 49, 4 years older.
bang. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
she should have changed that name. She should have been Furtado.
They both had music in 2000. They are literally the
Furtado.
same era.
Yeah.
Their first
I
albums
think
came
they
out in
combined
2000.
together for something too.
I must have heard it on a Kids Bop and just not assumed that They were not the same.
You
person.
must have been listening to Kids Bop.
That's the first
So
time I heard My
funny.
Boo was on Kids Bop. They did. Let me look at when that came out.
Stop.
They used to play Kids Bop for our middle school dances, dude, and I used to hate
Oh
it.
gosh.
I did,
Kids
that's what I'm
Bop?
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Did they do a version of Gin and Juice on Kids Bop?
It would have been orange
Ginger
juice and
juice.
apple juce.
Apple
Yeah.
juice and
Give me
cookies?
some apple juice.
Smoking on a. Well, I mean,
That was Kids Bop 7. When did Kids Bop 7 come out?
what in the heck is Kids
I
Bop?
turned my
I
head.
What?
remember
You
Kids
watch Kids Bop?
No,
What are you talking
I mean,
about?
that is not in my vocabulary. No.
Oh,
take,
we're going to have to play some Kids Bop this
Oh,
morning.
no.
They take hit songs,
Oh,
and it's like a
God.
choir of kids that
Nope.
sing them and make them clean.
I'm out.
Like all the way down to certain songs.
It could be like a Megan Thee Stallion song,
That-
and they
you-
would,
yeah, that's
and
what
they
I was
would turn
thinking.
it all the way
Good luck
clean.
with that.
I'd love to hear that. Have you heard Glorilla's new song?
Well,
though?
anyway. Okay.
Big Glow.
All right.
Somebody take the reins.
Well, you know what? The Titans are
Big
looking.
glow, baby.
The Titans are looking for their sweetheart to play on the left side of their offensive line for the next 11 years.
Maybe they listen to Kids Bop.
And Pro Football Focus has J.C. Latham as the pick for the Titans at number 7, not Joe Alt or
Wow.
Olu Fashanu. Ramon Foster, your thoughts?
J.C. Latham can play. He can. He's a big body guy.
360 pounds.
I think he's going to drop it down to about 340, 335 by the combine.
Okay.
I'd expect that. If he controls that and he moved well at Alabama, he's a road grader type of guy. He can pass pro. I don't know if you want to play him at right or left tackle, though. I think he will have an option when you look at what his expectations are, too. So it could be either side for him is how you view him. His size projects him to be a right tackle, but he can play left also. So at 360, I would probably think a more bigger road grader on the right side. 340-ish. We got to see what he looked like at the combine moving around. That's going to be a telltale sign for him, too.
He's also super young, like 21 years old, obviously on the
Hold him.
younger side of things. Yeah, this guy is big. I remember watching him play this year. On an Alabama offensive line, like, let's be honest, though, at times wasn't stupendous, right? I mean, there were definitely kind of ups and downs with this line this last year. But kind of got it together towards the end, except for their center, and the center is gone because he did not get it together when he needed to the most. But interesting to me, I find this, I didn't know where he was really slated at, obviously in the first round, but I did not think of him as a first round top 10 pick, I guess.
7 for him. I thought he was probably the third or fourth tackle this year. But again, this is just where I think this group was going to be. They have the conversation. You got to do what's right for your team.
Mm-hmm.
One staff member who was not retained yesterday by the Tennessee Titans, who had 10 new assistants and retained many others, Frank Pirano. After 3 years with the Titans, had at least 85 players a season because of injuries. The strength and conditioning coach is headed to the New York Giants. So the 3 assistants that worked under Frank Pirano remain on Brian Callahan's new staff, Brian Bell, Tyler Rouse, and Haley Roberts. And we'll see who the Titans end up hiring in that position. But the Giants, who are the 4th most injured team last season in the NFL, tied with the New England Patriots, will now hire the strength coach who was a part of the 5th most injured team in the NFL last year in the Tennessee Titans.
I see a theme there in New York. They're getting probably a strength and conditioning coach that might not move them up in terms of a good thing, in terms of the injuries. They also have a ton of Titan staffers. And I made a joke on Twitter, but I was kind of like serious too. Like they should have just fired Brian Dable and hired Mike Vrabel, and then he would have been reunited with half his staffers.
I'm telling you.
Because my goodness, what in the heck is going on there? And I don't know about Pirano, like if it's all his fault, but I'm kind of relieved to see something fresh here.
Yeah.
Chad Brinker on the Official Titans podcast that we played a little bit of yesterday did have this to say about sports science and ways that weight room staff, nutrition, sports performance is going to be streamlined in the new Titans regime.
there's a model that you'll see in the military as well as in some other sports. They call it sometimes the integrated high performance model, or maybe the athletic performance model. And what that essentially is trying to, people probably, as I explain this, think, wow, they don't do that yet, but it's real. I mean, it's the National Football League, and there are teams that are doing this, but not all of them are doing it. And we're moving in this direction where you're going to have someone who is really ahead of athletic training, ahead of rehab, ahead of sports science, ahead of nutrition, ahead of mental health. Well, how do we get all those departments working together and holistically working together and keeping the athlete at the forefront?
That was Chad Brinker, Titans president of football operations.
Yeah. It's just to let you know that they're interconnected in everything they're doing now. Everybody speaks the same language. Everybody's on the same pathway moving forward. And again, I know a lot of people have been wanting answers to a lot of stuff that's been going on inside the building. All you got to do is listen to those OTP podcasts.
Yep.
There's a lot given. I almost felt like, man, you send a ton right now. But they're transparent in everything they're doing, and all this has to work in the end. But you can't say, and the best part I thought he said right there is putting the athlete ahead of himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's huge.
There is an intentionality with every move they are making. They're not just going to retain somebody for the sake of them being retained. I really think they're breaking down every move they are making, and the sport performance side of it and the sports science and the way analytics and a recovery number for each player will likely be used to tell a story and to connect the dots between nutrition, mental health, practice field, and weight room, I think is going to be done in a new way within that building. So hearing that, I think it certainly makes sense that you're going to have a new director of sports performance and strength and conditioning coach in that weight room. When we come back, we shift the conversation to a little bit of college hoops as former Tennessee Vol, now SEC Network analyst Dane Bradshaw joins us. Coming up next. What's up? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at League Company, reminding you to put League Company on your team and stay ahead of the game with home maintenance, repairs, and more. For $12 per month, you can sign up for the League Company home maintenance plan and receive 4 visits to your home every year by an experienced technician. And look, Mother Nature is so unpredictable here in Middle Tennessee. The name of the game, staying ahead of what other Mother Nature can throw at you. That's what League Company is going to do. Let the League Company professionals keep your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems in tip-top shape. Get the best players on your team today. Learn more at leaguecompany.com or give them a call at 615-567-1000. I love working with League Company because anything comes up, anything not working properly, they're open 24/7, 365 and ready to help you with one phone call. 615-567-1000, online at leaguecompany.com. That's League Company, all you need. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Another busy night in SEC hoops as we get down into the final month of SEC hoops. So joining us right now to discuss that, talk a little bit of Vols basketball as well. He is VFL and SEC network analyst Dane Bradshaw. Dane, before we get to some of these big games coming up, what is it about former Tennessee players that makes you guys so good on television? Because our guy Ron Slay has gone just totally Hollywood on us.
He's done a great job. I'm thrilled for him. I don't know. We've got some good ones out there. You know, Carol Lawson, who's now the Duke women's head coach. She did a terrific job. Andrea Carter, Charles Davis. So I don't know. I somehow I've wiggled my way in there, but I'll give credit to the UT media. You know, you're surrounded by a lot of media, a lot of radio opportunities, speaking engagements, and local TV opportunities. So I'll give credit to those guys.
Love that.
No doubt about it. It's okay to just say we're good, man. You know what I'm saying? And we're just interconnected. Everybody daps everybody up when they see them too, man. Hey, real quick, go Vols, Dane.
I appreciate that. I was down in Florida last night, and Torian Green, who was the point guard on their back-to-back national championship team, I hadn't seen him in 17 years, but he's on the staff now. And so, we, like you said, we got to dap up, and it made me feel good. He said, Dane effing Bradshaw. I hated y'all MF. I was like, that's what I want to hear right there.
Job
awesome.
Well done, man.
That is awesome. Dane Bradshaw, our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kalen, Will. Dane, at this point, a lot of talk about the SEC, the Big 12, and the depth of those two conferences. From top to bottom, for you, is the SEC the best conference in college basketball right now?
Of course, I'm going to favor the SEC. It's who I'm closest to, and so I sort of like a coach of their team. They're going to defend their guys. I think you look at certainly the depths of the Big 12 as well, and to steal some of the things that Jimmy Dykes has said that I tend to agree with is, look, where you give the edge to the SEC is their non-conference strength of schedule. They went out and scheduled more and were more battle-tested before going into conference. And so at the end of the day, look, I think they're both going to get about the same amount of teams in. And if your league goes further and has the most teams in the Sweet 16, you get to toot that horn. But usually I'm not a fan of like, hey, that is what solidified a great year or not. Like, things can happen. If you get 8 to 10 teams in the tournament and maybe bad matchups or the call doesn't go your way, if you don't have as many advance, I don't think that's just, oh, told you they were overrated, this or that. So, look, both leagues are phenomenal, and the SEC's certainly only going to get better with Texas and Oklahoma, two teams that are really going to bring something to the table on the basketball side next year.
Dane, with this Tennessee team specifically, of course, Dalton Connect's success has been well documented and a favorite for SEC Player of the Year. What else do you like about this team? For all the talk about him, how else is this group specifically unique?
Yeah, the defense, now they got to get back to their bread and butter there because they've had a couple slip-ups, including Texas A&M having their way more than they typically should have. But you trust their defense. Zakai Ziegler coming off that ACL injury, I mean, he had a little bit of rust early on, but that's kind of a forgotten story to his credit because of just how well he's been performing. Of course, the veteran leadership, but, you know, Dalton Connect is certainly the difference maker. Everybody knows that they say, hey, that was the missing piece for Tennessee, and we'll see if that proves to be true in March. But where they just have to continue to win the games they're supposed to win is getting that 2 seed. If you can get a 1, that's phenomenal. But because we know that Tennessee can go away offensively at times, you'd love to have that higher seed to where if an opening round game or second round game, your talent can overcome a bad night, as opposed to when you're a 4 or 5 seed, you're dealing with a much tougher first and second round opponent to where an off night might mean you're going home.
Dang, I have to ask you, football is super emotional because there's only one a weekend. Ron somewhat alluded to this too, but I have to ask you, man, like when you lose in basketball to a team you're not supposed to. Last night, Vandy beat A&M. You also have North Carolina get upset. You had what happened to Kentucky over the weekend. The Vols lose to A&M the way they did. Auburn loses to Florida this past weekend. Also, what mind space do you have to be in for basketball to just really get over the hump for the next one when you're not supposed to lose?
Yeah, you just got to make sure that disappointing game doesn't cost you 2 games instead of 1, because if there's that carryover effect, the next thing you look up, you've got a trend going in the downward direction. And all these teams in college basketball are going to have some nights where it doesn't go well. I've heard some coaches say this before that I think is true. Like, hey, you're going to have a few games where you just play out of your mind, better than you actually are. You're going to have a few games where you just didn't have it that night. That's not who you are, and you don't even know who that team was. And the truth is all the rest of the games in the middle is about where you are. And that's where I look at some of those teams such as Tennessee to where, all right, look, they're not South Carolina, when they lost at home there. That's one of their clunkers. And maybe they're not necessarily as good as putting up over 100 in Rupp Arena. But bottom line is they're somewhere in between there, which is still a top-tier opponent. But when you start seeing consecutive losses, and Kentucky was able to bounce back, got a solid win against Ole Miss, doesn't mean they fixed all their problems. But that's where it becomes much more concerning when you just see that continued trend and pattern of things that are weaknesses that, okay, November, December, you got enough time to make up for them. But now we're getting to mid-February, and the window's closing on some of those identity issues and rotation problems that some of these teams might have.
So when you look at the NIL aspect of college football, I think it's overly apparent. Do you get the same conversations and the pulling of smaller universities on the basketball side as you do on football? And have you seen that somewhat pay off for other teams that are dabbling in NIL on the basketball side? Yeah,
I think similar to football, you see some that it's really helping, and others that maybe don't have as organized of a collective or being hurt by it. And look, I'm sure football does the same thing, but these handshake lines in basketball, when a mid-major kid drops 25 on you, I'm sure there's an assistant coach or two saying, "Hey man, if anything changes, holler at us." Like the recruitment process is starting early. I'm not saying I like it, but that's the reality, and everybody's trying to move up. But I don't know, some of these guys, I look at some teams struggling right now, and you just got to imagine there's some kids already sitting there thinking, I'm going to transfer after this year. I'm going to see who's got the most NIL. And, my message to all those kids is, go get your team 5 rebounds, draw a couple charges. Show me what you can do on the court. Everybody right now, I see some of these teams that are struggling, and you just know their mindset is, all right, where can I go find greener pastures? Worry about the job you got instead of the one you don't have, and somebody's going to find you. But that can be the problem with it, is everybody thinks, all right, this speed dating nature of college basketball and athletics of, all right, well, work out, let me try the next one. You got 4 schools in 4 years. And I don't have a problem with kids making money. If anything, I'd like to see more guardrails on the number of transfers, because I think these guys look up, and after 4 years, they say, well, where am I truly an alum from? Where can I go back to? Where are the connections? Wow. And wish they would have toughed out a few situations.
Dane Bradshaw kindly joining us this morning of the SEC Network. And Dane, let's go to the other SEC team in the state, Vanderbilt. And look, last night getting a good win down to the wire there, but only their second win in SEC play. There has not really been a lot of progress this year. What have you seen in terms of the disconnect with this team? And is Jerry Stackhouse going to be possibly the guy moving forward, do you think, or should he be?
Well, I think when you look at Vanderbilt, they're an example of a team that's been hurt by the transfer portal. And I know it can be harder to recruit to Vanderbilt, but across college basketball, you see some teams that have truly done great with the transfer portal. Some have been neutral, where they're kind of, trading like-kind players. And then there's Vanderbilt, where you look across college basketball right now, you got 3 guys doing pretty well. Miles Studi getting a lot of action for ranked South Carolina. Jordan Wright playing pretty well for LSU. Dylan DeSue down at Texas. those are three guys that were once Commodores. I know they each have their own story and reason, but when you look at that and you say, wow, what if they were still at Vanderbilt with Magnon and Tyron Lawrence? And then, of course, in the past they've had Scottie Pippen, and they have had the injury bug with Aaron Nesmith as well. But it's just that they've never had the overlapping talent. It's always, man, what if that guy was still here with this guy? And when they've lost some of that talent, they haven't been able to replace it as well as some other schools. Because look, in reality, it's a lot harder for Vanderbilt to replace a guy that can go to another Power 5 school. They can't just say, all right, well, then I'll go get a Power 5 to come to Vanderbilt. It's a more difficult project there. Everybody in the SEC, coaches, behind the scenes, all have a great respect for Jerry Stackhouse, his system, his X's and O's. And right now, I don't think he has a personnel that fits his preferred style of play. And, everybody can kind of read into that as they want, whether it's, hey, do you knock recruiting, or is there, not enough NIL situation? I don't know the whole story there. I do know that Jerry Stackhouse can coach, but I also understand people want to see a more competitive team right now and more butts in the seats there in Memorial.
When it comes to Kentucky, this has been an interesting few weeks, obviously, with the loss to Tennessee at home at Rupp Arena. Then Gonzaga comes in. And look, I'm from the Spokane Northwest. I've watched Gonzaga. This is not a team maybe that has been as good as teams in the past, but goes in there, knocks them off. Coach Cal, I'm just interested to see how much longer you feel like he is going to be around there if they continue to kind of have these flubs. And I know difficult schedules, right? But are the fans getting frustrated? Are you hearing that over on the SEC analyst side?
Well, everybody at Kentucky has been really excited about this team ever since really the first couple games. They've enjoyed this new style of play that they feel like Calipari has been late to the party with more threes, higher tempo, higher octane offense, that the modernization of the game, if you will. And so they've been this is a very likable roster. You've got some studs in the freshman class, and not all freshman classes are created equal, so it's not like you're just going to get that good of a freshman class again next year. And so that's the glass half full. But every time they start struggling and drop a few games, there is some PTSD for Kentucky fans because of the last few seasons and the way those have ended in disappointing fashion, whether it's the St. Peter's loss or Oscar Sheboy coming back last year, and they were never able to get things rolling. And now you got this year, and they say, hey, look, we're tired of next year's going to be different. And right now, there's no question there is some tension there between the fan base and Coach Calipari. But, look, this is when he usually has his freshmen start to turn the corner a little bit. I am concerned about their defense. I don't know that that's ever going to be a good defense, but if it can just not be one of the worst in the SEC, just average, that would be enough for their offense. And this is the story for Kentucky, though. You just got to watch this reality TV for the rest of the season, because they may end up like a 6, 7, 8 seed and finish 6th in the SEC. Yeah. But, man, they got the talent, and they could go in there and steal a path to a Sweet 16 and beyond, of course, is their expectation. Kind of like when they was it an 8 seed, I believe they were, when they took Wichita State's path to the Final Four. So that's not really the dramatic path you want as a Kentucky fan, but they're so talented you can't count them out, even if their NCAA seed isn't what you felt like it should have been.
Dane Bradshaw of SEC Network, our guest. Dane, tonight, South Carolina and Auburn is going to be terrific basketball at Neville Arena. Is South Carolina good enough to go into that building and in that crazy environment and get a win tonight?
Yeah, they are, and I think they're calm enough. Will they? I don't know. That's a long shot. But I think one of the things that has really made South Carolina different this year is they control the tempo. They have a veteran backcourt. They don't take bad shots. They don't turn it over. They don't get in a rush, and they make you play their style. And now that'll be the ultimate test on the road at Auburn, where you must try to keep the crowd out of the game. But I think they're mature enough to do that and try to keep it low scoring. But this is an Auburn team that got a wake-up call after losing against Florida handily, and I think South Carolina has been a great story. Lamont Paris, I believe, is National Coach of the Year. Nobody saw this coming. I sure didn't. But they do have a daunting schedule ahead, so I'm pessimistic about them being in the running for the SEC regular season champ, even though they're right there at the top of the standings currently. Look, they've got at Auburn, they've got at Texas A&M, they've got at Ole Miss, which is becoming a terrible place to play, and then they've got a Tennessee team that comes to South Carolina looking for revenge. So I think they've got a few more losses on their schedule upcoming, and that doesn't make me think any less of them. It's just the reality of the schedule.
Dane, I have to ask you real quick, how are the road environments for the away team? I've heard it can play a factor, but how is it from your standpoint on the floor?
Yeah, it's it's a huge challenge, and this year more than ever, it seems like it's been just almost impossible to get a quality road win. And I don't know if that's because fan interest is higher. You've got better talent being retained because of the COVID year and the transfers and all that other stuff. But the road environments have been extremely challenging. I personally preferred them. I'm sure you guys have felt the same. Like, look, as fun as it is to win in front of your home crowd, there's nothing like winning one on the road and the bond that it can do for your team when you feel like the whole world is against you. And the greatest sound in the world is when a road environment has been so loud all night and you can barely hear your teammates. And then as the clock winds down, the only thing you can hear is your teammates. That's an epic memory right there.
Dane Bradshaw of SEC Network has been our guest, one of the many Vols you see on your television screens talking college hoops. Dane, we really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dane.
All right, there's Dane Bradshaw with us this morning. I love that last quote. When all you can hear is everything but your teammates, and then you went on the road, and then all you can hear at the end of a game is your teammates.
It's your teammates.
It's pretty cool.
That's big
Very
time.
neat.
Good stuff. He crushes it.
He does.
Him, Tom Hart, all those guys, they got a good crew over there. And we don't just say that because we love Slay, but
You know who else crushes it?
who's that?
Ramon's terrible date. He talked about in hour one. If you missed it, go listen to the podcast.
There it is. Coming up, more Titans news and NFL news as one wide receiver target could be off the board, or it could just be a little more complicated to trade for him. Coming up next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Special thanks to SEC Network's Dane Bradshaw for joining us, talking a little bit of SEC hoops this morning. If you missed that conversation, you can find it wherever you download podcasts. Talked a little bit of Vols, a little bit of Doors, and a number of SEC programs. 615-737-1045, our number. More Titans staff headlines coming up in 15 minutes, and you're not that guy at 8:20. I am particularly excited about my pick this morning.
Okay.
It's one of the stronger picks that I have had.
Okay.
As of late.
That's new.
Tune in for that at 8:20. It is new. T. Higgins likely to be franchise tagged. Not a surprise to anybody.
Nope.
But Paul Daner of The Athletic reports that Cincinnati is expected to apply the franchise tag to the former Oak Ridge High School and Clemson Tiger wide receiver, noting that the cap space to carry a $20.7 million estimated salary that is fully guaranteed is not that bad, considering Joe Burrow's cap number is still relatively low before jumping up by nearly $20 million in 2025. So it is already a who's who of available wide receivers this offseason. You've got Justin Jefferson, who's entering the final year of his deal, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, and fellow Bengal Jamar Chase, who is also looking for a new deal. But any tag must be issued by March 5th, and then we'll get a little bit more clarity on what is to come at that point. There is still the opportunity for them to tag and trade T. Higgins, the way Jarvis Landry was moved in the past, the way others have been tagged and traded. However, as we expected, it looks like signs do point to T. Higgins staying in Cincinnati, at least for a year.
Yeah, it makes sense for them to make a move like that. Although, of course, you got to try to figure out how, once you pay the quarterback, you got to really start looking at your budget, and that's where they are. And this franchise tags, franchise tags buy teams years. It buys them time to decide if they want to commit. And of course, Jamar Chase behind them. And then, of course, when you have this many wide receivers coming out, you just mentioned Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman Jr. Like, where's the market gonna be? You know,
and not all of those guys are free agents, just to clarify real quick. They're just looking for extensions.
Yes, and that's where it plays into T. Higgins' situation, too. I mean, if I'm in that group and you mentioning my name, then I got to be in the same boat as far as the money goes, too. So the tag gives them time. This is a situation where Cincinnati has paid the quarterback. Jamar Chase has hit like they thought he would. T. Higgins got better as they thought he would also. And, of course, when you're paying a left tackle about $30 million a year, too, bills come due. DJ Reader's on the other side of that, too. Will he be set free as a free agent? And I think he will also. So you got to win when you're hot, and you also got to make smart business decisions. This is a smart business decision by Cincinnati.
Yeah. Look, Tyler Boyd is going to be a free agent, correct? So he would probably be on the move, I would guess. And so if you're looking at Joe Burrow and, his weapons, I would think that, yes, money is a part of this. And yes, you have to make good decisions, especially when you just paid your quarterback a lot. But to have Joe Burrow continue to have some guys that he has at his, disposal, yes, you have Jamar Chase, and he is the alpha A. But T. Higgins, like you mentioned, he's kind of growing into that number 2 position. I think he's played pretty well. And to have him back, just for Joe Burrow to have some options there and to already know the guy and have chemistry with the guy, I think that's probably important for them to try to keep him there. But it's never a guarantee. And I know there's a lot of people who would like to have T. Higgins, i.e. Titans fans.
Absolutely.
But I just don't see probably it happening, at least right now.
Brandon Ayuk also, I think, is going to stay where he is, most likely. And there's a scenario there, again, for them to get a long-term deal done with him that lowers the fully guaranteed 5th-year option that he has, which is around $14 million for 2024. But it does feel like the T. Higgins debate and fight is coming in 2025 for Cincinnati. After 1 year of tagging him, and then you imagine Jamar Chase has an extension already done by that point. However, I think this is always going to be a conversation as long as Brian Callahan is here and as long as T. Higgins is still from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So I certainly don't blame Titans fans for connecting those dots.
Yeah, no doubt. And, of course, we're going to hear the same conversation when it comes down to Juwan Jennings. He's a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason.
That's correct.
There's no ability to go get him unless you give something up for him, if I'm not mistaken.
Did we talk to Jannetty about that?
We did.
Yes,
and
we
how
did.
he thought he was definitely going to be back. Just they love him as a Swiss Army knife type of
Yeah, he
piece.
said considering his versatility, he would
Yeah.
expect him to go back to San Francisco.
Yeah. And Ayuk's situation, that's what you were just asking about. That one right there.
That's actually
is hit or miss
that's
for me.
interesting too. He talked
Like I
to the
said.
media, and it was kind of weird yesterday or the day before.
And
I don't
his
know.
spouse doesn't have a whole lot to do with it,
No.
but it seemed like there's conversation that's always
And maybe
gonna
they're
be
playing
had.
it up, right?
I would.
I don't
would,
put a ton of
absolutely.
stock in the locker room clean out press conferences, honestly.
Yeah.
Everybody's posturing at that
There's
point.
been a few things though with
You
him.
have to just look at it because they're going to be up against it too, I'd expect, as far as trying to keep the band
Yeah.
together.
615-737-1045 if you want to join us. Is the Titans' second-round pick untouchable to move?
Forwards or backwards? What do
Is
you
there
mean?
any scenario where the Titans trade their second-round pick for a wide receiver
Oh,
or trade for a veteran piece in the offseason? Because if Chad Brinker tells you guys on Titans Radio and the OTP that you want to stay out of the business of day one of free agency, do you go get a headliner and make a splash, including a package that has a second-round pick? 615-737-1045. We'll answer that. We'll take a look at the staff headlines when we come back. And you're not that guy. Your chance to complain. Start thinking negative thoughts. And then get all that out of your system and have, a happy Hallmark day today. It's RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, 1045 The Zone.
all right. Well, none of us want to go through another year with that awful joint pain. You can call QC Kinetics now and make 2024 the year you are back to living life again normal. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, and QC Kinetics can give you your life back. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. They're all natural treatments that can repair and restore that damaged tissue, giving you pain-free movement again. And we all want that, especially this time of year. Maybe you are feeling the pain in your knees, in your back, in your wrist, in your arm, whatever it might be from old surgery. Well, this is something that gives you long-lasting relief. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. And you can make the call now. You can get the most out of 2024 and get back to what you love doing. Don't forget that you can use your HSA and FSA funds for this. You can call QC Kinetics now. It's simple, 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024.
Just about 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. The Tennessee Titans officially adding 10 new coaches, retaining 11 others as head coach Bryan Callahan builds his first coaching staff. Those joining the staff have decades of NFL experience, starting with his dad, Bill Callahan, with the offensive line, Tyke Tolbert, a career wide receivers coach. On the defensive side, Steve Jackson with the secondary, and Tracy Rocker, defensive line coach, who had previously been with the Titans from 2011 to 2013, was also the Vols defensive line coach from 2017 to 2019. And the date to franchise tag players creeps closer as Paul Denner reports he believes the Bengals will be tagging wide receiver T. Higgins. The wide receiver tag is projected to be a hair over $20 million guaranteed. And in college basketball, Vanderbilt wins it at the buzzer against Texas A&M 74-73.
Ezra Magnan, he's done a nice job getting to the basket. See if he can get there here. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4. Magnan to the free throw line, up and under, lost it, throws it up, got it! Got it! That is your game!
For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour number 3 starts right now on your Love Day edition of RKW. We are brewed up by 8th and Rose, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, and Robert Walsh making the show happen. You can talk to him and then talk to us at 615-737-1045. You can also chat directly with all of us and all of our closest friends. Hanging out on 104.5 The Zone TV, where you can join the F&M Bank chat. Open and active this morning on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Just go into the comment section right there. Type in whatever your little heart desires. And then you're in the F&M Bank chat. I get people who ask me that all the time, guys, by the way, of like, so how do I join the F&M Bank chat?
Oh, yeah,
you just got to go
simple.
comment. Not a specific place you have to go other than 104.5 The Zone on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Please.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a story from a tweet that somebody had a very, very bad Valentine's experience.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do his first name here. Shane says, I really wanted to tell the story while you guys were talking about your worst first dates. Well, the first date with the lady I went on, we were at dinner and the movie. And at the movie, there was a couple behind us. The gentleman threw up on both of us. And in my date, she threw up as well.
Oh.
Like, that sucks.
Chain reaction?
Yeah. Like on the roller coaster, you know when that
that's terrible.
happens?
Yeah, that smell will make you gag, though.
I'm gagging right now.
Oh, my
Shane,
God.
I am sorry. That is awful.
That's terrible.
Man, I mean, never mind. I was going to make it.
I'll go for it.
No.
He's
That
keeping
will
it
not-
close to the vest
Demerit.
on that one.
Why?
Because you can't start a joke and then decide it's not good enough for air and then stop it.
I was going to say there's one way to get her to change her clothes.
There you go.
Or take them off.
Attaboy.
Harry, you finish
That's
it for
all
me,
right.
okay?
I'm fine with it.
Hey, I told you, man. I'm not trying to get us kicked off air on this thing.
So
You
the
hear
movie
me?
was that bad, huh?
One way to get her
Yeah,
out of her
I guess
clothes.
it.
Maybe
yeah,
they were seeing Madam Web, which I guess
Oh,
comes
that's
out
new.
today and has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes so far.
Does it really?
13%?
Yeah,
Do
it's
y'all
not
believe
great.
Rotten Tomatoes as much?
I am not necessarily the kind that critiques
Yeah.
movies or acting. It's one of my few flaws. I'm just kidding. I have a lot of flaws. And
I'm glad you acknowledged that.
thank you. And like if I watch a show and I'm entertained by it, I don't care if it's corny and has like
Yeah.
subpar acting. I'm just going to watch it and be entertained. However, anything below a 20 or above a 90 is noteworthy to me because then I go in with the preconceived notion of like, oh, this movie is going to be good or this movie is going to be bad. However, going into a movie that you know is going to be bad can be the most fun watching a movie sometimes. and like making fun of how bad it is. Like that's enjoyable sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Look
true.
at that.
Anyway.
Also,
That's a good
Ramon,
way
if
to
you're going
look
to
at
use
it.
Rotten Tomatoes, I don't use the tomato meter because that's all the people who are highfalutin and think they know everything about
Right.
movies. You need to go off the audience score. The audience
right.
score is
Okay.
people like me and you who watch movies the regular way and not looking for soliloquy or whatever else.
Common
happens.
folk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Common
Basic
folk.
folk.
It's 8
Lay
o'clock.
people.
My dog Bert wakes up, baby.
He does.
That's what I'm
It's
talking about.
8:04. He's up. He's
Proud
at
of you,
him.
dog. Hey, that's one way to really break it down, dog.
Bert, what are your Valentine's Day plans tonight?
I don't do anything on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
I will celebrate it 1 week from today as if it is today
Okay.
for all the cheaper candy and flowers. And I have brainwashed Cheyenne into thinking that this is a good idea. So it works out for me.
Hopefully
Nice.
she's not listening to you.
No, she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's cool with it.
She's all right with the stale candy.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. She'll eat.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know Cheyenne or not, but she'd eat candy off the floor. It don't
Oh,
matter.
perfect. No
man,
5-second
no.
rule. It can be an
She
hour rule.
loves candy, dog. She is a candy gal. Last night, and this is the kind of gal she is. She so I told y'all she works at a hotel in town, and she is
Right.
in the housekeeping portion of it. So she went out yesterday and bought all these Rice Krispies and fruit snacks and candy to make these tie-up bags for all her ladies that work with her. I thought that was so sweet. I did
gosh.
not get a bag from her.
No.
I thought I would get the throwaway, like the trickle down of the candy. So last night I ate about 4 or 5 Reese's Reese's Pieces before going to bed. So if there's some missing from the bag, I apologize about that.
Nice.
Oh, so you did steal some.
I did take some. I didn't know how many women she got working with them, but it's half the fun is opening that little bag. She
All
ain't giving me
girls
no
like
bag.
chocolate. Give them all the chocolate.
So
There's no leftovers.
my lovely girlfriend Peyton got me a homemade card that has a picture of the Pop-Tart mascot from the Pop-Tart Bowl. And instead of his sign that says dreams really do come true, it says Will Hart Peyton.
Oh, that's cute.
And then she made me homemade Pop-Tarts that have this like raspberry chocolate filling.
Look at that.
Incredible.
That sounds amazing.
Absolutely
And
incredible.
you didn't bring us any leftovers, huh?
No, I did
Dang.
not. Those are all for me and for no one else. I am not sharing with the rest of the class.
Sounds good, though.
Hey, by the way, Bert, if you go to Genesis, man, and get Cheyenne that
Oh,
ring.
God. Do not bring this up again.
If you go to Genesis, get her that ring, man, you can at least get dinner, chocolates, and flowers tonight, by the way.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. I love the plug you did there, but I think we're all under the understanding that Cheyenne will get her ring when Lamar does. So-
Which might be never.
What's Lamar? Huh? Lamar
Kendrick
Jackson?
the only
Lamar.
one Lamar you got to worry about with me.
We gonna get her that ring.
I don't know
Bert.
if Robert is gonna be all right. Like another
Wait,
Lamar.
what if Lamar goes to another team? That's my question. He's on the phone right now, so he
get a
can't
ring at
answer
that
that. But what if Lamar goes to another team and he's not with the Ravens when he wins a Super Bowl?
He said that Lamar, by the way. By the way,
Okay.
this is the day I actually proposed on too. It was
Really?
Valentine's
You
Day.
did?
It was. I proposed on Valentine's Day.
And
Sure
she
did.
said yes, obviously.
Oh, well, she yeah, she did say yes. Boy, buying a diamond is one of the craziest things ever, though.
Oh, yeah, it's
I
not
just
cheap.
feel like you're getting used over, but it was worth it. I got her a starter diamond at first.
And now she's gotten a couple cents, probably. You
now,
gotta upgrade
she
at
got
some point.
upgraded. She got upgraded a few years back. Yeah,
Did she? Okay.
yeah, she got upgraded.
Well, the Titans upgraded their staff yesterday,
Oh,
adding 10
there we
new
go.
assistant coaches, retaining others.
There we go.
Look at my guy.
Among those made
Segues.
official,
Seg.
you started talking about rings, and I segued away.
Because it was going to come to him next.
It's Lover's Day, Will. What?
No, it's not
I
that I'm
ask you
afraid of it.
Oh, you afraid of commitment?
It's that no. I said it's
Will-
not
Will
that I'm afraid of
Rising.
it.
Hey, he's not
Will
Buck.
Rising.
He's not Buck.
I was Will
Yeah,
Rising.
that's a different story.
Nah, I don't think
Buck
that's.
Bowling?
I don't think that's a comparison.
Okay.
More like Buck something.
I just.
Bowling?
I was.
Put an H on the B.
I was just preemptively moving on before you could interrogate me.
I wasn't going to interrogate you. Hey, do you know what I like to say? A hit dog gonna holler. Every single time.
Okay.
Hit dog gonna holler, baby. I ain't said nothing. You felt that pressure.
No, it's not pressure.
We're not talking about this.
Yeah, we're talking about the 10 new assistants
Oh,
on the
okay.
Tennessee
All
Titans staff, including former Titans assistant and Tennessee Vols assistant Tracy Rocker with a 32-year
Let's go.
coaching resume. Defensive line coach as he comes over from Philadelphia. Tom Jones, assistant to the head coach, most recently the vice president of football operations for the Las Vegas Raiders. Veteran running backs coach Randy Jordan for running backs coming over from Washington, where he spanned the life of many staffs in the nation's capital and is a former college coach as well at UNC and Texas A&M. Frank Bush, who was on staff with Bo Hardigree at one point in Miami at the same time, and is also in Houston when a young D'Amico Ryans was playing for the Houston Texans as well. Particularly interesting. Steve Jackson, secondary and safeties, after spending the last 2 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons, a Houston Oilers draft pick who played 9 seasons for this organization and is also in his second stint coaching with the Tennessee Titans, was assistant secondary coach for a couple of seasons, including a season with one Kevin Byard in 2017. Ben Bloom, outside linebackers coach after spending the last 4 seasons with the Browns. 15 years of experience for him coaching in the National Football League. And you got Peyton McCollum, assistant wide receivers coach, among those assistant to the position coaches who were also announced yesterday. Many others that were announced officially, including Bill Callahan, Tyke Tolbert, and others that we already knew, in addition to Justin Alton being named tight ends coach and Chris Harris being made corners and passing game coordinator.
Well put together staff.
That's a list right there.
Yeah.
And still need a special teams coordinator, so that'll be interesting to see who they get in that spot.
Tell you what, they got the punter, though. That's for sure. Stoney's still
Absolutely
being
they
here.
do.
Ryan Stonehouse being here for sure.
Is Nick back too?
Foles?
Yeah. Folk, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it was a 1-year deal for him.
I was wondering about that, if that was a 1-year deal. I'm going to look that up because I didn't even think about
He is an unrestricted free agent.
Okay, so he is not back. Okay, so
Kicker.
kicker's what they're needing to look for too.
Yep, that'll be. Oh, you got time for all that type of stuff. Specialists will be more than available when it comes down to it. But of course, finding that long stay guy here is something that's got to be fixed. That's been somewhat problematic here in Nashville. Finding your career extra point and field goal kicker, kickoff guy too.
You're right. Well, because remember with Vrabel and them, they've just had so many just 1-year guys or just guys that haven't worked. I would think at some point, like, you'd want to have that consistent dude in there, maybe a younger guy, right?
And can we talk about that too in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And the idea this year in 2023, last year, the ability of kickers to hit 50-yarders like it's normal.
It's like it's nothing in that game, in that big game.
I know, but the entire year, 50-yarders are being hit like they're 40s. Like,
They
you
broke
got to
2
start
records there.
reevaluating that spot even more so. It's like, who's our accurate guy that has the leg to, gain points?
There's guys out there to do it. So
Yeah, the Titans did at one point have Cade York as well on the practice squad, the former LSU kicker in Cleveland Brown, who they wanted to be the heir apparent, and he was poached by the Giants, actually.
Okay.
In the middle of the season as kind of the other option to Nick Folk. So interesting. I would imagine if Nick Folk wants to keep playing, he will be back here.
Yeah, and he was great.
He was.
He was outstanding.
His
He was
age
probably the
and
MVP.
everything. Yeah, no doubt. Until Stoney went down.
Yeah.
It's being real.
Coming up, your chance to complain at 615-737-1045. It is You're Not That Guy. You can load up the phone line, sports, non-sports, anyone in your life who you want to declare is not that guy for whatever reason. Give us that reason next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, now joined by our good friend and certified arborist, Dean Glasscock of Save a Tree. And Dean, what can you tell us about plant health care at this time of year in particular and how you guys can help with the tree and shrubs?
Yep, that's right, Kayla. Happy Valentine's Day to you and to everybody out there, all the Zone listeners. It's a beautiful day. It's Wednesday. And we are already out and treating our trees and shrubs around the home. And when I say that, I mean the ornamental trees and shrubs around your home. So pick up the phone, 615-299-9999. You've heard this number for years. If you've been a Zone listener, we're so appreciative of all the response we get. So, again, 615-299-9999, 29 years we've been in business, almost 30. We are now Save a Tree, SAVATREE.com if you want to reach us online. But either Julia or Mackenzie or myself can come out. We can take a look around your yard. We can let you know what we can do for you to maintain and keep them fresh and vibrant, especially with the pressure of all the bugs that are coming, because we didn't have a really rough winter. So there's been a lot of bugs that have overwintered, if you will, and they are beginning to hatch and start their world. And so we can stop that quickly if you just pick up the phone, give us a call, 615-299-9999. Sorry about that. Had a long night last night. But anyways, we want to serve you if we can. So give us a call, and I hope you all have a great Valentine's Day. Thanks again.
Thanks, you too, Dean. And you heard them. They are the experts, almost 30 years of experience. You want them doing everything when it comes to your ornamental trees and shrubs. So give them a call, 299-9999, or log on to SaveAtree, SAVATREE.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. And for You're Not That Guy, every Wednesday on the show, we ask you not for the person you want to kiss through the phone, but perhaps for the person you want to punch through the phone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Robert Walsh, our producer. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion for You're Not That Guy. 615-737-1045 is our number. We go first to Ramon Aloysius Foster.
Yay.
To lead us off for You're Not That Guy this morning.
Man, mine has to go to John Feliciano. He got caught on social media, he said, under the influence. He said he was drunk. He called out one of his teammates because of a Super Bowl play in which Chris Jones put pressure on Brock Purdy. But it goes even further than that. He's gotten into a back and forth, and I will say he's probably more right than wrong on him and Jalen Carter, the D tackle from the Philadelphia Eagles. They had an exchange, which happens in sports all the time. Trash talking. I was explaining this to my older son last night. Is an art in sports also. You have to be able to talk it, okay? I don't care if they take it there. If you go low, we will go lower. And that is essentially...
Listen up, kids.
Yeah, that's essentially what John Feliciano did. And from that point, it's very much documented on social media. Jalen Carter started using his kids, saying, hey, all types of murderous-like things to him. And John Feliciano struck back at him. So I will say, John Feliciano, you're not that guy, but also Jalen Carter, you box into that car with him also. Y'all shouldn't be speaking on the dead and threatening each other, kids and stuff like that. So to each one of those two dudes, you're not that guy.
So the point that Feliciano made was that when Jalen Carter started calling him out, he said, Jalen Carter told me during a game, I'm going to... Like, it talked about murder. And it's like, you're not going to see your kids again after I'm done with you. Like, it just ridiculous stuff.
It got bad.
Ridiculous stuff. So, that's a fair one.
Coming from the rookie doing it.
To give more context, Feliciano said, oh, we're talking trash today? Well, you already got a body. And it was just like, oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Not good.
So, yeah, that's a tragic situation. Very bad.
Yeah,
that's why they're not
pretty
that guy.
Crazy. Oof.
Yeah.
You're Not That Guy goes to Brock Purdy. On the 49ers' first drive of the second half, Brock Purdy had a 4-yard scramble, pushing his rushing yards to 13 rushing yards. 24-year-old quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. One of the most popular bets during the Super Bowl was Brock Purdy's over on rushing yards, which, ladies and gentlemen, was 12.5. So again, I remind you, on the first drive of the second half, Brock Purdy scrambled to the left, 4-yard gain, 13 yards. People are clapping it up. They're toasting to another bet hit. Oh, but it was not hit because on a kneel down as time expired at the end of regulation, Brock Purdy lost a yard and did not gain any more rushing yards in overtime, bringing his total to 12. Brock Purdy legitimately not that guy that hit his over on rushing yards, and you are also not that guy. If you bet over 12.5 rushing yards for Brock Purdy, one kneel down at the end of the game lost America a lot of money. And according to sportsbooks, BetMGM reported the over on the Purdy line was its most popular prop bet by ticket volume in the Super Bowl. 90% of the tickets and 87% were on the over instead of the under for Brock Purdy's rushing yards. Brock Purdy, thank you for losing America a lot of money. You are not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Couldn't have gotten one more rushing yard in overtime.
That was a pretty bad situation. Man, that stinks. But boom. So
okay.
I'm wait, you have something?
No, I was just going to say, you're okay. You're okay. You'll be fine.
Oh, I didn't bet it.
Oh,
just
I'm
the
great.
people that lost money.
I bet Chiefs live money line at 265 in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Lunch was paid for.
There we go. I'm going in real life situations for this one. So I don't know what it is lately with the grocery stores, but I go to 2 different grocery stores, and I'm not going to put the name out there and put them on blast, but this is a warning because if it continues to happen, then I will put the 2 particular grocery stores on blast. But for some reason, and this is like probably around noon usually, maybe 11:30. Like when I get off, I usually make a trip to the grocery store to kind of just see what needs to be done for the rest of the day, like a lunch, dinner, whatever. So for the past like 2 weeks, though, whether it be the one grocery store or the other grocery store, there has not been any cashiers at the checkout line except for one. Like in the one grocery store, there's probably 13 cash registers. And yes, there is self-checkout at that one, but that one's always loaded. But one cash register is always open at that one particular store, I feel like. And then the other one, usually there'll be two. For some reason, yesterday, when we're picking up Valentine's stuff and there's a lot more people in the store, that's down to one. The line's back in the candy aisle. And I'm sitting here going, I got 5 items. Wait, what are we doing here, people? I'm trying to be patient, but I got to get home.
Yeah.
Like, I got stuff to do. And these grocery stores don't care. They don't give a damn. They're going to open up one line, and that's all. Look, kids, when I was younger, I wanted to scan groceries so hard. Like, that sounds like such a cool job, like scanning the groceries, like all that stuff. Like, anybody want to go work for, grocery store?
Nah, Kayla. So to the grocery stores out here, Kayla,
like, they're not that guy or gal.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Yeah.
Man.
Robert Walsh batting cleanup this morning.
I will give myself a "you're not that guy,"
Nice.
but it will be in the reference of telling you the worst date I have ever been on. But it was probably it's on their end. It's on their end. It was probably the worst date they've ever been on, and it was all my fault. So in college, when you go to class, you don't see the same people that you see out at the bars. It's a totally different person that's in the classroom with you than the people that you see outside of the classroom. And I had become infatuated, smitten, if you will, with this girl in a film study class with me. We would go in, watch movies. I thought she was enlightened. She liked all the movies I liked. But we didn't really talk that much, and one day I decided to shoot my shot. I was like, I'm going to ask her on a date. We're going to go out. I'm going to take her to this nice Italian place in town, and maybe we'll see a movie afterwards. Who knows what's going to happen? So I ask her out, and for the sheer luck, she says yes. She wants to accompany me to this restaurant. So I'm excited. I'm telling all my buddies, hey, this girl's going on a date with me. I had been talking about her. It's like, oh, is it the film girl? It's the film girl. So we go out to the restaurant, and we get there, and I'm waiting. And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. She's 20 minutes late. And in my little noggin, that was too much for me. So I came up with the plan that I was going to dip before this date was over with because she stood me up for 20 minutes. And it did not get better. We get in the date, and she is the most foul-mouthed, unattractive. Right. The way she was eating, she was like slurping the wine. It was the worst date that I had ever been on. So I wanted to make sure she had a bad time too. So I told her, I texted my buddy, I changed his name in my phone to Mom in my contacts and said, oh, you got to call me, dude. I'm having a terrible date. Like, get me out of here. So he texted me, called me, and I said, hold on, my mom's calling. And then I got up and I left the restaurant. Left her with a big-ass bill.
Oh,
we came to class on Monday, and she ripped me in front of everyone. So for that date, I probably wasn't that guy, but it was a lot of fun, and I got a free Italian dinner out of it.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Amazing. So
Yeah,
the nerve to do that to someone that you know you're going to see again. That is the impressive part of this, because if this was just a girl you met on an app or online or was set up with who you had never met before, then this would be more likely and more understandable. But you knew you were going to see her again.
The problem was in college, I was a heathen. I did not respect anyone, nor did I respect myself. So I had no problem. And then I kind of just owned it in class. You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, I'll let you drag me. That's fine.
She can't take that money back for that meal, can she?
She did Venmo request me for that money.
No,
yeah, and I blocked her on there, too.
That's the best part of the story.
I blocked her on there, too.
That is she Venmo
that's
requested you?
Like a real one.
That is great.
Hey,
Sorry, that's
you
on
were
my,
the prize, Bert. You hear me?
I'm saying, man. I try to tell Cheyenne that every day, man. You don't know how lucky you got it, girl. I could have left you at an Italian restaurant somewhere, and you would have been none the wiser.
Oh, my gosh. That is terrific.
I love that,
That is
Bert.
absolutely terrific.
Man, that's bold, dude. I respect the heck out of you for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, leave my dog hanging like that. Absolutely
Great
not.
stuff. Right
She was
there.
just not a great date either. I think that's what the big hang up was. I had built it up so much in my mind, like, oh, this girl likes the same movies I like. And then, nope, swift uppercut.
How far into the semester were you? How many more weeks did you have to spend with this girl?
It was cold. It was probably October, so we probably had a good month and a half left.
That's real.
All right.
That's real. It's standing on business.
She got over it.
I don't know if she got over it or not. We did not make eye contact. They would put groups together to be like movie reviews, and we would just we would avoid each other like the
That's
plague.
funny. I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
I got put in a group once with a girl that stood me up.
Oh, it's
no.
tough, man.
Good times.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was like a
Hard
mandatory like project. Like, oh, we're gonna pair you guys up. Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, I already tried that. Thanks a lot, teacher.
Like, oh wow, the SMS text messages are going through now. Zach in Hendersonville, 615-737-1045. Hey, Zach.
Good morning, Ramon, Kayla, Will, Bert Hawk.
What's up, Zach?
Good morning, Zach.
You know, I'm just going to make this simple. I just want to talk about a dirty, filthy, what a scoundrel this man is. I'm just going to say his name, and I'll let Bert take the rest. Pat Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have a great day.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
War criminal Pat Adams.
Kept it simple.
That man, war criminal.
Gosh, man.
Golly.
I think he's the worst referee in sports
Yikes.
right now.
Straight up. Oh,
Right
man.
now. Every time I look at his stupid face, I just want to smash it.
You think he leans into it more?
Oh,
now,
he
too?
knows
Oh,
it.
heck
The amount of
yeah.
monitor reviews
Yeah.
that Pat Adams does, calling an SEC basketball game. I still have not forgiven him for when in 2015. Yep, 2015. Jerron Mayman got a foul called on him in the Georgia Dome against Florida, who was undefeated at that point of the SEC tournament. John Mayman then looked at Pat Adams funny without saying a word, and Pat Adams teed him up with 8 minutes left in the game and gave him his fourth and fifth fouls at the same time.
Jeez.
I was at that one with my brother and my dad in the artist formerly known as the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, that was gross.
Awful.
Gross place.
Conzo Martin's last SEC tournament with Tennessee.
Was it really?
Man, what a time that was.
I always remember because Rick Barnes started at Tennessee when I started at Tennessee
Okay.
in 2015-16.
You started at Tennessee in 15?
I graduated high school in 2015.
You knew this, Ramon.
I did, but just rehearing
We're forgetting
it.
about how.
Yeah,
young
how
he is.
how recent that
I
is.
was born yesterday.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was passing out superhero Valentines in class just a few weeks ago.
I loved. Can we please talk 1 sec about that? I loved Valentine's.
You
I
did?
loved Valentine's. Like, we even did them in the 5th grade.
Yeah. I think it usually goes up to 5th grade. Once you get
Does
to middle
it?
school,
Okay.
they'll usually shut it down.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, who
Yeah,
gets the most? Like, you know.
You would
Yeah.
we would put them in our
You
put them in
wouldn't get the
people's
most.
lockers
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
in middle school. So.
Sure. Yep.
And then you could also, in high school, they also had it too. You can order from like the school booklet
That's
and
right.
stuff like that. Hey, did you get
You'd
your
get those
gift?
notes or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that little stuff like that. Yeah, it was
That
really
was
cool
fun.
stuff.
It made you feel welcomed or
It did.
wanted or whatever you might want to say.
Yeah, if you was like certain people, you probably got like 4 different gifts from 4 different people.
What, you?
Nah, I kid.
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be my Valentine's Day. Eric in Nashville up next. Go ahead, Eric.
What up, Eric?
Happy Valentine's Days, guys.
You too, Eric.
One quick thing, Taylor. I agree with you on the shopping deal because I've been in the past and I got to go to the store this Saturday. I don't like one checkout line open, and I don't want to do self-checkout when I got between 20 and 30 items in my shopping cart. I'm not interested in that. So guys, my You're Not That Guy is this. There was a guy in Wisconsin, you may have heard about this story, that decided that he was going to participate and cash in on the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift phenomenon. It was a religious store, and his big selling item was scented candles. He decided he was going to sell scented candles with pictures of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. The picture of Travis Kelce was Jesus Christ, and Taylor Swift was the Virgin Mary.
Oh.
Of course, it sparked a lot of controversy and furor over that. The guy says, well, I'm not listening to you people and call them right-wing conspiracy theorists and all that type of stuff. Guys, I'm not going to get into the political and religious aspects of it, but here's the problem. You still can't do it from a legal aspect. Have you heard of name, image, and likeness? If you're selling that stuff without their permission, you could get sued.
So not only are you stupid, you are definitely not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Strong from Eric today.
That's good stuff.
Real good, Eric. Golly. Are you serious?
That's a little much.
You got to sell those at the flea market where can't nobody draw you back to a brick and mortar building. It's like, oh, I bought it at the flea market. Stand 7. I ain't going to be there. I ain't going to be there next week to sue me.
We're talking about immaculate conception for a tight end that makes a lot of immaculate receptions.
Yeah.
Hey.
Boom, boom.
Look at get him out of here, Bert. Can we end his microphone for the day? This man's already done his Valentine's Day, so he's no pressure today, man. Like, goodness.
Well, yesterday was part 1 of a 2-part Valentine's Day extravaganza.
Wait, it continues today?
I remember being in young love.
Well, no, it's just that I have a what had happened was I have a Belmont basketball game to broadcast tonight on Sidelines on ESPN Plus. So there was a need to do our dinner last night. We have the tradition of we watch The Bachelor the day after it comes out.
Right.
Because my girlfriend works in morning television. Shout out Good Morning Nashville, News 2, the best. And all of her friends watch it together, and she can't watch it live. So I'm like, I will come watch it with you. You have someone to watch it with. And now I'm more invested than she is at this point. I'm like, if Daisy doesn't win, we riot this year. So honestly, I've got my top 2. I've picked the winner right twice on the first episode. So
maybe you
I'm
should
gonna
start
pick this
betting
one right
on
too.
that stuff and making money.
My fantasy team would be really good if I played that, because that is a thing you can do on ESPN.
I have done that with my previous shows before, but one iteration of it, I always look up the spoilers. I always look up who the last 5 women are.
Reality Steve guy.
And then I just, 100%.
Yeah, right.
And then I make my big board out of the 5 remaining women. I just make sure you draft 3 of those. You're guaranteed to be in the top.
100%. 100%.
Listen how y'all got this broken down.
Daisy's going to win this year, though. No doubt about it.
They all be crying this year. I don't know what the deal is.
The
Everybody
drama
wants to
is
cry.
terrible. It's great television.
They're
Those
all trying to
producers should
make
be
money
fired.
after they get kicked off the show.
Social media has changed that show
It
because now
has.
you can get famous with pictures of yourself as a ad partner
Exactly.
by just being on the show and being a jerk.
Yeah, the more dramatic, I think, the better.
So it's just like Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
What? What's
I've
that?
seen that show.
See what I'm saying? That's why I was just trying to bring it back to my side of the neighborhood over here, okay?
I just know in
That's all.
1985 by J. Cole on the KOD album, he says, in 5 years, you're going to be on Love and Hip Hop. I just know that as a line in one of his songs. So
I hadn't seen it in a while.
I got a little bit
Or
of
the
culture.
Real Housewives.
Real Housewives of Atlanta.
I remember
do.
that one.
Real Housewives
Croy
is legit,
Bierman's
dog. Croy, they're going
ex-wife,
through it
yeah,
right now.
Kim Zoliak.
Oh, my God.
Croy was at Montana a couple of years before I got there to cover him. Croy Bierman. Man, yeah, and then he
Croy
got
wasn't ready
sucked in.
for Atlanta.
Nope.
He was not ready for Atlanta.
615-737-1045, our number. Another mock draft to tell you about when we come back, and a wide receiver to the Titans at number 7. How would you feel about this guy? We'll talk about it next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Line, okay? I'm here to tell you guys that Secure Line want to focus on Prime, okay? Prime service, not, the coach in Colorado, but the Prime service that they're willing to give you. And you know it's going to be that good because they're telling you it's going to be that good. And you probably wonder, what does Prime mean to their team? It means having their team members properly trained and to provide a Prime service, supplying the customers with expectations that will make them lifelong customers. If you're trying to have the best grass in the neighborhood, I'm talking about the greenest, no weeds around, and people just drive by and say, George, I wish our lawn looked like that. Well, guess what? You got to go to securelawn.com to set up that appointment, okay? They are local. They've been serving Middle Tennessee for over 20 years, punctual. And here's the best thing about them. You sign no contracts. If you don't like their work, just tell them, get on. Okay, it's that simple with them. So as the weather starts to change, get Secure Lawn over to your house to spray some of the awesome sauce on your lawn to kill those pesky weeds. You can call them at 615-893-8455, or as I told you earlier, go to securelawn.com.
Rolling right along on hour number 3, wrapping up hour 3. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. A bag of 8th and Roast coffee, a great gift for your significant other who loves good coffee. On Valentine's Day with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. You can head to your favorite local Kroger or Whole Foods to pick up a bag of 8th and Roast coffee. 615-737-1045. The Titans have been mocked to draft a wide receiver at number 7. Get to that here in just a moment. But first, to the phones where Tommy is in Murfreesboro. What's up, Tommy?
Well, you got my blood pressure going. I just wanted to make one little fast comment. Pat Adams is the Jerome Boger, Angel Hernandez of college basketball.
That's a great pick, Tommy. Thank you for the call.
Got his blood boiling. Wow.
That's a very good pick. Pat Adams is, if we were ranking top 5 people we hate most in sports, Pat Adams is easily top 3.
He's up there.
Easily top 3.
And Boger just retired recently, so maybe Pat Adams needs to follow in his footsteps.
I will donate 5% of my salary every month towards Pat Adams' retirement, so I don't have to look at his stupid face anymore calling basketball games.
Or he can wear a mask.
Match it? Anyone want to match it?
I'm
No?
not matching it. Okay. He's probably on his way out anyway. I'll let you spend that one.
Problem is, we're giving Pat the attention he wants.
That's true.
This morning.
We are talking about
Does that mean he's doing his job then? Well,
maybe
he's
he
doing
gets
something.
incentives for
yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
Rome Odunze is the wide receiver that ESPN's Field Yates mocks to the Tennessee Titans at number 7. And to answer your next question, yes, Joe Alt was already off the board in this mock draft in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. He has Joe Alt going 5th to the Los Angeles Chargers under head coach Jim Harbaugh, which is going to take some getting used to, that could have an interest in an offensive lineman. Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors, the two guys that you would imagine will be available to the Titans at number 7. Who do you prefer?
Me personally, or you go, Kayla. I'll let you go.
I'm going to go with Rome Odunze. I love Rome Odunze. I hate that he's a Husky, absolutely, but I love the fact that he is, man, he would be a huge weapon for a team. I was listening to former Washington quarterback Brock Heward on Greg McElroy's podcast recently. And Greg kind of said, well, what's the comp for him? And I know, like, not a lot of us like to do, well, how do you compare him to? Yeah. But it gives us an idea, at least, of what we can expect from Rome Odunze if you haven't seen a lot of him over there in the Pac-12. And he compares him to Devontae Adams. And I really do think that that is a great comparison when it comes to a guy, just the build. Like, he's obviously a bigger guy, 6'3", 215, but has a huge catch radius, you guys. And he just has the attitude for, like, whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he's that dude.
He's got it. Yeah.
And I just feel like, you know what? That's a great comparison and not a too shabby of a comparison if you get him by chance at 7.
Yeah, I think he could potentially be there for sure. I actually am going with Malik Neighbors on this one. For a few different reasons. His ability to get behind the defense has shown, I think, a real good bit in this year right here for him. I was reading stuff that said he had issues, or they thought he had issues with his ability to always have a high output. And he put that to bed this year. I've seen clips of him stop and go and get behind. He can play in the slot. He can work outside. In his earlier years, you might call him a one-trick pony because of his speed, but his ability to grow as a wide receiver is something that will be needed. And I can't say that he can't make cuts. He can't. I just think at the LSU, hey, fast guy, you go do this thing that you do. And it worked out well for LSU. Jaden Daniels also been a Heisman winner for their team because of him. He really put himself in a good spot.
Yeah, he's big time.
Both of them, you can't miss.
I know, right?
I like Malik.
Can we have both of them?
In this mock draft, they do have Malik Neighbors going before Rome Odunze. Field Yates has Neighbors going 6th to the New York Giants. But you pair him and Jalen Hyatt's deep threat ability together. That's quite the two deep threat wide receivers who would be up there with every Titans coach in New York. And then Rome Odunze going 7. Malik Neighbors, 120.7 yards per game this past season, 14 touchdowns, and a Giants offense that had the second fewest passing yards of the NFL and just 44 passing plays of 20-plus yards. That was better than only 6 teams in the league. Rome Odunze, the pick for Field Yates, considering his route running ability, his ability after the catch, writes Field Yates, and says he is terrific in contested catch situations and reliable with his hands. Taylor on YouTube and the FNN Bank chat, where you can join the show, says, I didn't hear, but is Bowers gone on that mock? Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers goes 16th in Field Yates's mock draft to the Seattle Seahawks, the former Georgia tight end.
That is why I said last week, not that I want to be right or wrong on anything, but it's just my opinion. That's why I think he jumped out and said Titans. Because if you don't get Brock Bowers at 7 and the Titans could use a playmaker in general, then where is Brock Bowers going?
He'll go further down.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Reality of it is he is a tight end. Mm-hmm. And you need to have either a ready-made team, which usually top 10 teams aren't ready-made to compete for a weapon like him. And I also think looking at Kyle Pitt's situation in Atlanta, the misuse of him could probably be a blackout of what Brock Bowers got going on.
Will the Titans use the tight end enough to warrant drafting a third one?
I think they could and should, especially a year like this. Depending on what happens in free agency as far as I'm concerned, and if you're able to use the tight ends as a different weapon, because DeAndre, then, we got to see what you're going to get out of Traylon.
Yeah, that's the question.
The tight end could legitimately be the number 3 guy this year because of it. And that's why Brock Bowers probably understands I could be utilized there as a weapon that not necessarily is a tight end. And, of course, since he has done well enough with those guys at tight end with Brian Callahan, and if he can prove that he's part of, the rebuild, and I'm okay with it.
And I'm still not out on Chig. I know he did not live up to expectations to start the year. I really do feel like he started to shake that mentality, that he had to be something at the start of the season, because I think it was all mental. And you saw towards the end of the year him really starting to come along. Yeah. He's got to do that next year. He has the ability to, right?
Yeah. And in no way am I saying I'm out on Chig.
No.
The idea is you're going to get a top 10 tight end, Chig going to take a back seat.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, our number. Coming up in hour number 4, he is the executive producer of Titans Radio. Rhett Bryan joins us next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I'm telling you guys, if you need anything done around your house, they have the easiest way to book a session, and it's go to happyhiller.com. But right now, it's Valentine's season. It's actually Valentine's Day, and love is in the air. So find your perfect match this month with Hiller, where you can get a free UV light when you purchase select new HVAC systems, or free whole home surge protection when you buy a new whole home generator, or 50% off a diskeller when you buy a new tankless water heater. You'll never be more in love with your home than if you have Hiller come by and service it, okay? So find your perfect match, again, at happyhiller.com.